It is that time of year when we all start gearing up for the inevitable conversations that are going to happen or comments that are going to be made when we go to someone else's home for mealtime. The holidays are approaching and this will happen. I'm sure you have experienced this before. Someone makes a comment about how you choose to feed your kids or what you choose to feed your kids, and you feel the need to stand up for yourself. There are endless videos out on the internet right now that help give you very specific language about what you can say in situations like that. When your mother-in-law makes a comment about letting your kids get down from the table when they haven't eaten everything on their plate, or when your uncle is upset that they haven't tried this meal that he has just made or this particular recipe. All kinds of people want to give you very specific language for how to handle that. And I want to give you an alternative to figuring out what script should be playing in your head that you should perfect when this happens for you. And here is the alternative that I have for you. Don't say anything. And here's the thing for me that I continue to think about and that continues to come up for me. We all have, and I have written about how to handle food clashes or differences in food styles or food values. You don't have to engage in conflict. You don't have to convince someone that your values are right and their values are wrong. You don't have to convince them to change how they behave at mealtime, what foods they choose to serve. And I would argue that in the long run, what is more important than any one of us having our way at every single meal is the relationship that we could build and maintain with our family members. Family is messy, and especially when we go and see extended family, as often starts to happen around this time of year, people that we don't spend a lot of time with and that maybe we have developed different habits or patterns of behaviors or values from. They are still family. And in the long run, it is an opportunity that we have to do a number of things with our kids, aside from convincing someone that they might be wrong, that we might be right, or engaging in conflict over something like food. What I think this gives us an opportunity to do is, number one, to have a conversation ahead of time about, oh, Uncle Buck feels differently about food. He eats meat and we don't. So there will be meat on the table and we can simply choose not to eat it. But we can talk about the differences in what our kids may experience, what we all may experience as we go into our families' homes. It gives us an opportunity to talk to our kids about why our family does it differently. Again, that's a conversation you can have with your kids, and just as a way of opening up the conversation and the opportunity to discuss it, as well as giving them something to kind of ground them in why your family makes different decisions than someone else's family. And again, it's not about judgment over this. It is simply about providing an opportunity to discuss it and to share your food values, your family's food values, with your kids. It also is an opportunity for you to be curious about why other families do the things that they do. And you can invite your kids to ask questions. Oh, well, why does your family do that? Oh, that's interesting. Our family does it differently. And the other thing, it's a great opportunity to talk about traditions. Bottom line, my advice to you is if you start to find yourself needing to engage in those really sticky conversations where there's a chance that it could ruin your relationship with someone, maybe just don't go there. Maybe decide whether or not the relationship is more important than any specific rule or mealtime behavior that might go against what you typically do or want to have done for yourself or for your kids. That's my hot take. Don't engage in conflict if you don't have to. Does that mean don't have a conversation? No, of course not. I think we can have conversations. We should come to these conversations being curious about why our mother-in-law has that rule or our sister-in-law requires this from their kids. We do not need to have control over every single mealtime with our kids and for ourselves. Sometimes what's important is for us to recognize the value of those relationships, use these as opportunities to observe differences in different families and different individuals, use that opportunity as a way to have a conversation with your kids about why your family does something one way and not another, and the food values that you have as a family, and let the rest of it go.